Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today's video has a little bit of everything. So we're going to break down Asa Newell's introductory press conference that happened just yesterday morning, give you the latest on the potential availability of a young Houston Rockets forward. There's been some rumors surrounding him in the past couple of days, so I thought it would be important to cover as the Atlanta Hawks are very active in the trade market going into next season. And then we're going to walk through some of the new two-way signings that the Atlanta Hawks made, some undrafted free agents just shortly after the 2025 NBA draft concluded. So these are some things that could really shake up Atlanta's depth chart, not just for the Summer League, but going forward into next season. So I also want to provide some clarification on some recent rumors surrounding the former Raptors president of basketball operations, Masai Ujiri, and why the Hawks won't be bringing him in despite rumors surrounding him, in the beginning of the offseason when there was a real president of basketball operations search going on in Atlanta. So stay tuned. This video is going to be jam-packed. And let's go ahead and start inside the Atlanta Hawks practice facility where rookie forward Asa Newell was officially introduced to a crowd of people, the Atlanta media and fan base this week. So Newell, the 23rd overall pick out of the University of Georgia, go Dogs, was sitting alongside general manager Anzi Saleh for the Atlanta media for his introductory press conference. And also sitting front and center at that press conference was none other than Atlanta Hawks superstar point guard Trae Young. He made sure to pop out and support his rook. It's unclear if any other Atlanta Hawks were in attendance, but Trae was there in the front row. So it's great to see Trae, really already taking him under his wing and being that leader that we all know him as. Newell was composed on stage and he acted very excited to, be in this situation where, all he's going to have to do is catch some lobs and run the fast break, which it's something that he has shown that he can do in college. So, he described the moment of being drafted by his hometown team as, quote, like I'm in a Disney movie. He was very excited. He called it a dream come true. He emphasized how thankful he is for the opportunity and said he's getting really ready to get to work immediately. There was that video right after he was drafted when he was talking to Anzi and Quinn, and he was telling Quinn that he is just ready to get to work. So Quinn was telling him to enjoy the time that he has because it's gonna be a tough training camp, which is coming up. Not really soon because we obviously still have Summer League where Newell is expected to play, but it's something to look forward to. So now, what does GM Anzi Saleh think about his new power forward? So Saleh had actually said he brings everything that we're looking for, and even went so far to call Asa as a culture add, just adding a guy like him to the locker room that can really be beneficial to all of the young guys that are looking for just continuity and on the court and off the court. So it's a phrase that tells us this wasn't just a basketball decision. They're betting on his personality and his work ethic, two things that he's really shown that he has a lot of in a positive way. So when asked about his NBA comparisons, Newell didn't shy away. He mentioned that he's often told that he plays like Chris Bosh. So that's a kind of hefty comparison. Long, smooth, left-handed, with that face-up game. But he personally sees elements of guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Aaron Gordon in his style, defensive versatility, rebounding, above-the-rim athleticism, something that Newell really excels at. So, like I said, Newell is going to have a real opportunity. He's going to be in a rare situation for a rookie big. He's going to be able to grow alongside Trae Young and the rest of the core. He's going to have a pretty easy load offensively, but, obviously defensively he'll be tasked with some tough assignments, but he seems to be up for the challenge. He revealed yesterday that Trae Young was actually the very first player to call him on draft night. Right after Newell was selected, Trae made sure to welcome his rook to the team. So that early outreach from, a franchise centerpiece like Trae Young is a very big deal, and it shows that there is an effort from the top to integrate Newell into the rotation and the culture pretty quickly. So all around good to see. The press conference went well. And this is someone who's clearly excited to be in Atlanta, staying home in Georgia, not too far from his university. So now let's pivot briefly to the front office and talk about what I kind of hinted at earlier. So just yesterday, the Toronto Raptors had officially parted ways with longtime executive Masai Ujiri, obviously the architect of their 2019 championship roster with Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam. So naturally, that sparked chatter among Hawks fans because there had been a lot of rumors regarding Masai Ujiri coming to Atlanta. I mean, when the offseason really started and a lot of people thought that Giannis Antetokounmpo was going to request out of Milwaukee, the Hawks were kind of bringing in a lot of guys that were linked to Giannis, as, you know, while they were searching for a president of basketball operations. I mean, we saw that they brought in Masai Ujiri, they brought in what's his name? His Giannis's agent, Alex. I'm forgetting the name, but you all know who I'm talking about. We covered that a lot on this channel, and then also Danny Ferry, the former Hawks executive that had been long linked to Giannis. So there were obviously rumors that kind of sparked back up again once Masai was let go. Obviously earlier, but let's make one thing clear. The Atlanta Hawks are not going to be bringing in Masai Ujiri. There's no current expectation that the Hawks will pursue him or any other president of basketball operations candidate in general at this time. And they don't need to. I mean, Onzi Saleh, since really becoming the lead decision maker, and obviously during Landry Fields' tenure, Onzi's voice was still a prominent one in the front office, but now that he's had full reign, he's done an awesome job. He's exceeded expectations in the amount of time he's had. He's executed two very strong trades, including flipping pick 13 for 23 and future very valuable draft capital from the New Orleans Pelicans, as well as landing Kristaps Porzingis for just Terrence Mann, Georges Niang, and the 22nd overall pick. So the Hawks are going to move forward with Saleh as their lead decision maker, and it's a great idea, and it's the right one as well. Saleh has the support of everyone else in the front office and the players, and so don't expect that dynamic in the front office to be changing anytime soon. And obviously, with the Newell selection, that was also his decision. It seems like he nailed it. We haven't seen Newell suit up yet, but we will soon in Summer League. That schedule actually just dropped, and that'll be beginning July 11th. The Hawks will be taking on the Miami Heat. So obviously, we're going to cover all of that here. Bringing in someone above Saleh to kind of bring it back to that conversation, it would be kind of redundant and potentially disruptive, and I just don't think it's something that's going to happen. Now, I had actually tweeted something just yesterday where it was like, if Masai wants to come in and be a lead advisor to Saleh but still report to him, by all means. It would be great to have a guy like Ujiri in the front office to bring his expertise, but Saleh needs to be the one making the final decisions, and I don't know if Ujiri at the time would like to be in a smaller role like that because he had full control in Toronto. So for now, this front office is sticking with the team it has, and it's paying off, and it's going really well so far. So now we're going to move on to some roster building moves that have been going on kind of behind the scenes. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks made major waves in the media with the bold acquisitions of Kristaps Porzingis and then the other trade on draft night. But the Hawks are pretty much they've finalized their 3 two-way selections for the 2025-2026 season, because you get 3 alongside 15 actual roster players. So this year's group of two-ways, and this can obviously change because it is very early, it includes Lamont Butler, the Kentucky guard, Eli John Nadaye, the guy that we covered last episode, who the Hawks signed quickly after the draft, and then Daquan Plowden, who has 1 more year on he signed a 2-year two-way contract with Hawks just last year. So we're going to start, and we're going to talk about Lamont Butler. So the Hawks actually signed him shortly after the draft. Actually, right after I filmed the video, our last video, right after Eli John Nadaye was signed, and it was quickly after the second round had concluded, but the Hawks ended up making 2 more signings that night. That morning, if you say. It was really late. Let's just say I was not awake. So we're going to talk about Lamont Butler, who is now signed on a 2-way. So he's a former San Diego State star, and he actually transferred to Kentucky last season, where he did average 11.4 points and 4.3 assists. So very solid production at the highest level. One of the brightest spots for college basketball. I mean, his defensive resume is what stands out most. So this is a guard that can really defend. Butler was named 2023-2024 Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, and he didn't miss a beat in the SEC. His game translated from one level to another level, and expect it to translate to another level. This is a good 2-way signing, and I think he's going to fit right into the culture. I mean, while small, he's a 6'2" bulldog guard who could, thrive in a backup role if given time to develop. Obviously, we don't consider 2-way contracts to really contribute much in the lineup with the Atlanta Hawks. obviously barring injuries or anything of that nature. However, he's expected to be a key contributor for the Hawks Summer League squad in Las Vegas. Those rosters haven't been announced, but expect him to be there and potentially start. I mean, obviously, we'll have guys like Asa Newell and some of the other new pickups, but joining him will be Eli Nadaye. We kind of touched on Nadaye last episode. I mean, a Real Madrid prospect who has shown real promise as a, undersized big, maybe a stretch four with energy and rebounding upside, alongside obviously Plowden, who returns on his two-way deal. Atlanta's two-way depth is looking good. They're looking aggressive and hungry, and these are guys that all fit into like I've said, the culture Atlanta is building. And here's something to keep an eye on. Atlanta actually signed Kobe Johnson, the younger brother of Jalen Johnson, to an Exhibit 10 deal. He agreed to that with the franchise. So while that is a little lower than a two-way contract, this is something that it's like, this is good giving a Johnson brother a shot to really prove himself in Summer League. So, I mean, expect him to get some action and really prove himself, and maybe he can take one of those two-way spots away from one of the guys that the Hawks already have on there. I mean, I like Kobe Johnson as a player. I mean, at 6'5", he brings athleticism, defense, and some underrated playmaking. He was a great defender. He obviously transferred from USC to UCLA, which is kind of funny because they're two rivals. But, I mean, in his final seasons, he put up, a solid 9.3 points, 5.2 rebounds, nearly 3 assists per game. He was a real contributor to a, great basketball school. 2 great basketball schools. So, I mean, he's more than just a feel-good family signing. There's some real two-way potential here. Hawks fans have been, preaching that they should take a look at Kobe Johnson for the years that he's been in college while we've had Jalen Johnson. So maybe Kobe Johnson, maybe he actually works out with the team and he gets signed to a two-way, which eventually becomes a real contract. And then next season with that Pelicans pick that we got in the draft day trade a couple nights ago, the Hawks take Dash Daniels. And so we'll have 2 Johnson brothers and 2 Daniels brothers. And then in a few years, Timothy Young, the younger brother of Trae Young, actually comes into NBA draft contention. So maybe we draft him and have 6 guys who, 3 sets of brothers. I think that would be pretty funny. And I mean, all these guys are good. It's not like a situation of nepotism. This is guys that are very much, qualified to be here. So I just thought that was really cool that the Hawks had actually signed Kobe Johnson. I'm sure Jalen is very happy about that. He did post an Instagram story showing support for his brother. So all of that's good to see. And so now we're going to close with a potential trade target that's flying under the radar, but actually got listed a few days ago. Cam Whitmore of the Houston Rockets. Now, we've talked about the Houston Rockets a lot in these videos because, obviously with the acquisition of Kevin Durant, their forward room kind of presents a logjam, and maybe they want to move off of one of these young guys, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, or Cam Whitmore. So according to Kelly Iko of The Athletic, Whitmore has been involved in a number of trade conversations this week. They're actively shopping him, which comes at a little bit of a surprise, but maybe he's the odd man out, which would make sense. So his future in Houston is reportedly considered fluid, with the Rockets, obviously, like I said, having Kevin Durant and bringing in guys like, last year they drafted Reed Shepherd, and this is a guy they're going to want to maybe contribute in the rotation next year. So, Whitmore is probably the odd man out in an absolutely crowded rotation, and this is someone the Hawks should really look out for. So here's why Atlanta should be watching closely. Whitmore is still just 20 years old. He fits that young Atlanta Hawks timeline. He averaged 9.4 points and 3.0 rebounds last season in just over 16 minutes per game. So in limited minutes, he showed, real potential as a scorer and, just 3-and-D in general. He's an explosive scorer with a solid physical frame. He's big and he's got plenty of untapped potential that he didn't really get to showcase in Houston. I think Houston Rockets fans are kind of accepting that. I've seen some stuff on X where they're like, if Cam Whitmore wants to play this certain role with limited minutes, then obviously we would love to have him back. But, it's clear that Whitmore kind of, I wouldn't say he wants a bigger role because he hasn't really been outspoken about that, but he just won't be able to play much in Houston. That's just kind of where they're at right now. So, it's a no-brainer for them to kind of, listen to offers for what, they could get for a guy like Whitmore. Financially, it's a very smart move. He's on a cheap $3.5 million club option next year with actually another team option at $5.5 million for 2026-27. So he's still locked up for 2 more years. For a Hawks team that needs an additional bench scorer, they're still, revamping the second unit. They've done a good job so far, but, bringing in Cam Whitmore as a backup 3 or maybe even 2 could just be great and fit alongside the core of the bench with like V. Krejci and Asa Newell and either a Kongwu or Porzingis. So I mean, he could grow alongside the other pieces of the Atlanta Hawks young core, and really just fit that timeline. This is a move that fits the budget as well. So I mean, if the price is reasonable and Houston is really looking to consolidate or maybe gain some draft capital after losing some in the KD trade, Atlanta should be one of the teams calling. So to recap, Asa Newell is officially a Hawk and already winning over the fans, including myself and his teammates. Obviously, Trae Young was there to show his support. I mean, the team's summer contracts are starting to take shape, so Summer League is soon, and definitely be on the lookout for that. And Cam Whitmore of the Houston Rockets might just be a buy low swing worth taking. I mean, low risk, high reward situation. So, like I said, we're gonna monitor Summer League and then obviously the signings that Atlanta maybe does in a few days when free agency starts. So we've got a lot to talk about in the next few weeks. So just be here, be locked in, pay attention to some of these reports, and I'm going to be covering all here on Hawks Latest. So I mean, as the offseason continues, just thank you guys for watching. This is the growth on this channel has been great, and there's nothing I'd love doing more than providing you guys with updates. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. This has been Hawks Latest, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.